Wow, thank you all for being here bright and early, right? The day after the election, and what an exciting last 24 hours it has been. And I would just tell you that it's a real thrill for Pam and me and our family, and just tremendously humbled and privileged to be able to serve as the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we appreciate that. I want to tell you that I'm very proud of our ticket. We ran a very strong coordinated campaign. Mark Herring, as you know, is a tremendous friend to the Commonwealth. He and I were desk mates in the Virginia Senate for several years, and I'm so pleased that he was reelected to be the Attorney General. And our friend Justin Fairfax ran a great campaign as well. And we look forward to Justin being our next lieutenant governor. And as you know, we picked up a number of seats in the House of Delegates, and there's still some that are being decided. And so we want to follow that closely. But I think it's a sign for Virginia and an opportunity for Virginia that we come together and that we unite. And we will, I think, always agree that it's okay to disagree as we move forward. But at the end of the day, this is about the Virginia way, and we have just a wonderful Commonwealth, a tremendous amount of potential. And so I look forward to bringing people from both sides of the aisle together to move Virginia forward. I also want to just briefly mention, I would be remiss, and she's not here this morning, but I have a wonderful wife who has supported me through this endeavor. And Pam is going to be a wonderful First Lady for the Commonwealth of Virginia. So I look forward to watching her work over the next 4 years. I also want to thank our current governor, Terry Mcauliffe, who, as I described Terry, he has been the right person at the right time for the Commonwealth of Virginia. He's done a wonderful job building the new Virginia economy, and I think most of you all know that we have had a very close relationship, and he has been a friend, a mentor, and I look forward to continuing to have his support as we move forward. And it's great to see so many of the cabinet members here this morning, and I'm not going to try to list all of you off, because if I leave someone off, I know I'll be in the doghouse. But one of the things that I have enjoyed as being the lieutenant governor, I have been a member of the governor's cabinet, and it's been a privilege, and he has just put so many good men and women around him, and I thank you all for the work that you've done for our Commonwealth over the last 4 years, and look forward to working with you all as we move forward as well. So we are at a time of transition, and we are looking forward to this, and I'm so pleased to have 4 of my co-chairs for my transition team as we move forward, and I will introduce them in just a little bit, but I would like to talk about some of our priorities, if I could, very briefly. And the first is our economy. And we want to make sure that we continue to promote economic opportunity for all Virginians, no matter who you are, no matter where you are. And we have been so proud as our governor has led with building the new Virginia economy that we've brought in over 215,000 new jobs, over $18.5 billion of capital investment, and our unemployment rate has gone from 5.4 to 3.7%. It's the lowest that it's been in 9 years. We are very proud of that, but there's some areas that we still have room for improvement. And one of those is rural Virginia. And as you all may be able to tell by the way I speak, is that I am from rural Virginia, and we need to lift all of Virginia up. And if you go to the Eastern Shore, where I'm from, or the South Side, or the Southwest of Virginia, we're nowhere near 3.7%. So we have work to do, and there are things that are very important to me and very important to this Commonwealth, such as universal broadband. I just find it very difficult in 2017 to not only grow a business but start a new business with so many pockets across Virginia that still don't have access to broadband and cell coverage. I also think it's important that we look at things like expanding the University of Virginia WISE to bring more talent into that area, to bring more graduate level courses to the area, and really continue to promote the jobs of the 21st century, which are really in what I like to call STEAM H related areas, but science, technology, engineering, the arts, math, and healthcare. Things like cybersecurity and unmanned aerial systems and artificial intelligence and biotechnology, data collection, data analysis. These are the jobs of the 21st century. So let's continue to bring skills to jobs and lift up all of Virginia. It's also important to me as we move forward that we promote diversity across this Commonwealth, that we promote inclusivity, and that means that we continue to work as hard as we can to fight against discrimination, to level the playing field in Virginia, and to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity in this great Commonwealth to live the American dream. I am very intent on looking at government efficiency in Virginia. It has been a while since someone came in and looked at our agencies to see what was working well, what could be improved upon. I'm a business owner in Hampton Roads, and we do this. I think any good business should do that. And not only will it make our Commonwealth more efficient, but it will also save taxpayers money at the end of the day. So I plan to do that as we move forward. I want to mention a couple of things about health care. As a provider, I've taken care of sick children and their families for over 25 years, and I really believe that health care is a right. Nobody should have to decide whether they have to put food on the table or go see a provider. And I remind people all the time that no individual, no family should be one medical illness away from financial demise. So I am very intent and motivated to make sure that all Virginians have access to affordable and quality health care. And I don't mind calling it something different if we need to. I don't mind working with people from both sides of the aisle. But when we have 400,000 working Virginians that don't have access to coverage, I find that unacceptable. And also, as you all know, that each day that we don't bring that tax money from Washington back into Virginia to support Virginians, we're not only leaving on the table, but we're giving to other states who we compete with, by the way, over $6 million a day. And that, as a business model, I find that unacceptable. So I will continue to work on that. People ask me often, Ralph, what is the most significant challenge that we face in Virginia? And I would have to tell you as a provider that is the opioid crisis. And as you all know, we lost over 1,100 Virginians last year to opioid overdose, and it's an issue that does not discriminate. And as a physician, I will bring people to the table and make sure that we do everything that we can to offer these individuals help that have this addiction issue, and also to prevent it from happening, which I think is very important. Pam, my wife, is an educator. She's a K-5 science teacher. I am an educator. I teach at the Eastern Virginia Medical School. People ask me, Ralph, if you could leave your mark, what would it be? And it would be to make sure that all of our children, and I do truly believe that there is power in every child. I want to make sure that all of our children have access to world-class education, and we'll be talking more about that as we move forward. But that's very important. It's also important that we train our youth for these 21st century jobs. I am an environmentalist. I'm a scientist. I believe in global warming. If you don't believe in sea level rise, come visit me on the eastern shore of Virginia. But we need to wean ourselves away from fossil fuels. We have a tremendous opportunity in Virginia to continue to promote renewable energy. And as you have heard me say before, I would like by 2030 that at least 30% or more of the energy that we produce in Virginia be from renewable energy. I think that is something that is very doable. And finally, I just want to make a quick comment, but certainly not to politicize the tremendous tragedies that we are watching all too frequently, but that is gun violence. And I think that we as a society, we as Virginians, need to come to the table and have a discussion and find things that we can agree on, and that is responsible gun ownership, and do what we can to try to prevent any more of these tremendous tragedies from occurring. And I will just tell you that it's not only the tragedies that we hear about and read about, the ones where 28 people get killed or 58 people get killed, but every day there are Virginians that die because of gun-related accidents, and we can do better. So I look forward to leading that discussion. Finally, I just want to tell you that transition is very, very important to me. We have had a great administration to work with, but you know, Virginia, as you know, is the only state in which you have 4 years, and that's it. And so we need to hit the ground running, and I plan to hit the ground running. That's one reason why I'm here this morning with 4 individuals that I feel very strongly about, and I'm going to set the bar high. I know people look at me and say, Ralph, you're a nice person, and I am a nice person, but I expect a lot, and Virginians expect a lot out of the future administration, the 73rd governor. So I want to introduce my co-chairs and my chairwoman of my transition team, and then we will be very anxious to get to work. So first of all, and this is in no particular order, but the lady in blue behind me, Miss Joni Ivey, and I just want to read a little bit about their resumes to you so that you'll get a feel for what quality folks these are and what in good position we're in Virginia. Joni served as Congressman Bobby Scott's long-term chief of staff and now serves as a member of the state's parole board as well as the Virginia Commission on Higher Education Board appointments. This is the group that makes recommendations to the governor on Board of Visitor appointments. So, Joni, thank you so much for offering to be one of our co-chairs, and we look forward to working with you. Mr. Todd Stoudemire, thank you for being with us today. Todd, as you all know, is the CEO of Inova Center for Personalized Medicine, and I didn't want to get too much into the details, but when we talk about the cost of health care, the future of health care is in personalized medicine, and I am very excited, especially as a physician, to make Virginia the world-class leader in personalized health care. So Todd also serves as the rector of the Board of Visitors at William & Mary and is the past chair of Northern Virginia Technology Council. So, Todd, thank you so much for agreeing to help us. Doris Krause-Mays, what a great relationship we have had over the years. And, you know, I didn't mention to you, but when we talk about the economy, one of the things that we really need to work on is bringing back our middle class in this country, and we can be leaders right here in Virginia. But we want to take care of those individuals that are the backbone of our economy, and that is the middle class. And we want to make sure that they have good jobs, that they have good salaries, good pensions, good benefits, and a safe environment to work in. So, Doris, I appreciate you being part of this team. Doris is the president of Virginia's AFL-CIO, the first female to ever be elected to this post. Doris is a member of the Virginia Democratic Party Steering and Central Committee, and in 2008 she was elected to the Democratic National Committee. So, Doris, we're very proud to have you as part of this team. Thank you so much. And finally, Mary Ann Ratcliffe. And I was going to save this comment for the end, Mary Ann, but maybe those of you that don't know, I am from the Eastern Shore, but so is Mary Ann Ratcliffe. And so we go back a ways. We share similar roots. We understand rural Virginia. And Mary Ann has served in multiple gubernatorial administrations, including in the Office of the Secretary of Transportation and as the legislative liaison for the Transportation Secretariat. She has over 18 years of private sector experience and was appointed to the Longwood University Board of Visitors in 2011 by Governor McDonnell and reappointed by Governor Mcauliffe. She currently serves as the rector of the Longwood Board. A fellow native of the Eastern Shore, I have asked Mary Ann to serve as the director of my transition team. So, Mary Ann, thank you for your friendship, your leadership, and your willingness to help move the Commonwealth forward. And finally, Clark Mercer will be the deputy director of our transition. Clark, is he is, all right, Clark, everybody knows Clark. Clark, you know, we're trying to promote Clark. He lives in the shadow of the Secretary of the Commonwealth, but, you know, we've had a lean staff, Kelly, down in the office of the Lieutenant Governor down in the Oliver Hill building. But, Clark, thanks for your leadership, your friendship, and I look forward to having you as my chief of staff in the next 4 years, and we're going to get some great things done in the Commonwealth. So I will end there. I thank you all for being here the morning after an exciting day for the Commonwealth of Virginia. we're ready to get to work, and we're excited about doing the work of the Commonwealth. I'd be glad to take questions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Governor-elect, congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good morning. Tom Fitzgerald from Channel 5 in D.C.
Yes, sir.
A lot of punditry has been placed upon your win in the last 13 hours. You deserve a crack at it. What were Virginia voters saying to President Trump by selecting you as their governor?
You know, I think there's been a lot of discussion over what this election meant, and I don't think there's any question that there are some policies that are coming out of Washington that are concerning to Virginians and are perhaps detrimental to Virginians. But I think what this message was yesterday that Virginia sent not only to this country but to this world is that the divisiveness, the hatred, the bigotry, the politics that is tearing this country apart that's not the United States of America that people love. It's certainly not the Commonwealth of Virginia that they love. And so I think people saw in Mark Herring, Justin Fairfax, and myself, and the delegates that were successful, Virginians that want to be public servants, that want to do things the Virginia way, that want to focus on the economy, to focus on Virginians having a job that they can support themselves and their families with, focusing on education to make sure that our children have access to world-class education, making sure that all of us have access to affordable and quality health care. That's the message that I heard, and that's what I heard as I traveled around Virginia. And we ran a very positive campaign. I had a great team, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done, and I'm ready to get ready for the work of Virginia. Yes. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Governor-elect. David Corbett, Channel 4 in D.C.
Yes, sir.
You certainly had a significant win last night. Still, though, more than 1 million people voted for Ed Gillespie. What would you say to those Virginians?
Well, first of all, I would like to compliment Ed. He called me last night, and of course, you know, we were in several debates, and we saw each other on the campaign trail. He's a good man, and he ran to make Virginia a better Commonwealth, and so I appreciate that. And Ed is willing to heal Virginia with me, to bring people together, and I look forward to working with him as we move forward. But you know, I mentioned last night in my talk, this is about Virginia, and there are obviously, as you said, over 1 million people that didn't vote for me. But one of the points that I like to make, and I made it last night, is that, you know, I've taken care of thousands of children and their families over the years, and never once has anybody asked me whether I'm a Democrat or a Republican, nor have I asked them. And that's the way I plan to govern in the upcoming 4 years. And so, as I said last night, I look forward to earning the respect and the trust of those that perhaps weren't on our team. But we're here to do what's in the best interest of Virginia, and I hope to bring everybody onto that team. Yes, sir.
Governor-elect Northam, Peter Ducey from Fox News. For the last couple decades, Virginia voters have almost always picked a governor, the opposite party of the White House.
Yes.
Do you think that last night was part of that trend, or do you think that it was part of what will be a national Democratic wave next year and then in 2020?
You know, it's hard to say. You know, Governor Mcauliffe broke that trend 4 years ago. And I think it's really more about the person and the message and what we stand for. And so, again, we ran a positive campaign. We talked about jobs. We talked about education, health care, a clean environment, safe communities, and inclusivity. And I really think that's what resonated, and that's what people voted for yesterday. That's what they want. That's the Virginia way, and that's the way we're going to move forward. Yes, Alan?
Were you surprised by the eventual outcome?
You know, Alan, this is my 6th campaign that I've run. I usually come in around 10 points. So I was a little bit shy of that last night, but you know, it was pretty much par for the course for our campaign. Yes, sir.
Governor Bill Bartell from the Virginian Pilot.
Yes.
I was talking to former Governor McDonald last night and asked him what advice he had for
Yes.
you, and I wanted to get your reaction to it. He felt like that you had been, quote, co-opted by the national leftists, their agenda, and his advice was he hopes that you revert back to your traditional conservative Virginia roots.
Yeah, I don't think that I had been, you know, taken over by the national agenda. I certainly think there were a lot of comments being made, but this is about Virginia. bill. It's not a national issue, and it's about moving Virginia forward. And again, it's about jobs, education, health care, inclusivity, and that's what I ran on, and that's the character I've always had, and I'll continue to do that in the future.
Just a few more.
Yes.
Transition question?
Yes, sir.
This will not be the second Mcauliffe term. This will be the first Northam term.
Yes.
How do you approach this process now? Would Senator Kaine be of use to you, having been in your position? What is your view of this to put your stamp on this job?
Well, I think there are a lot of people that will be of use. And, you mentioned, Governor McDonald, who I consider a friend. And yes. But we have a long list of great leaders in Virginia that have been there for the right reason, that have gotten things done in what I describe as the Virginia way. So, as you know, I'm very close to Senator Kaine and Senator Warner, and as I said earlier, Governor Mcauliffe and I have had a wonderful relationship. So I would say that we have planted some very good seeds and some fertile ground, and those will grow. But we need to, take Virginia to the next level. And some of the things that I mentioned earlier are very important to me. Things like making sure that all Virginians have access to health care. And that's something we still have a lot of work to do. Education. We want to make sure that all of our children have access to a world-class education. So yes, we have had a good relationship and I think a good record, especially with our economy over the last 4 years. But there are other things that are priorities of mine as well that we'll work on.
I guess what I was getting at,
yes.
Should we expect to see the cabinet flip over completely? Will some people stay, some people go?
Well, those are discussions that we'll have in the next 2 months before inauguration in January. And we've got great people on our cabinet right now, and we'll talk to them and get their advice and see what their plans are for the future, what they want to be when they grow up, type of thing. And so, and we'll all, with my transition team, we'll all move forward together. Yes, ma'am.
And Governor-elect, thank you so much for being here. You mentioned the fact that this is about Virginia, but how do you plan on collaborating with President Trump on issues that may affect the state from a federal level?
That's a great question, and there are things that President Trump has talked about wanting to do for this country that would be very beneficial to the Commonwealth of Virginia. For example, building up our military. And as you may know, I'm a veteran of the United States Army. I believe in a strong military, and as you know, we build some of the greatest warships and submarines right here in Virginia in Newport News. So if he plans to build up the military, that obviously would be very good for Virginia, be very good for our economy. He mentioned that he does not want to experience sequestration again. Sequestration hurt our economy, as did the government shutdown. So there are areas where I can work with the president. I would also say, though, that if there are detrimental policies coming out of Washington, we need a governor who will stand up to those policies. And there are things like the travel ban, which I think is un-American. There are things like pulling away from the Paris Accord. As I said earlier, we have made so much progress with renewable energy. That's very important, should be very important to all of us as Virginians. And finally, health care. Any plan that puts 30 million Americans at risk of losing their coverage is a non-starter with me. So there are things that I plan to work with the president on. If there are things that are detrimental to Virginia, I'll stand up for Virginia's best interests. One last question. Yes, ma'am.
You use the phrase Virginia way a lot.
Yes.
What do you mean when you say that?
I mean that we can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, we do what's in the best interest of Virginia. And I will just give you one quick example, and I think you probably already know about it, but one of my first pieces of legislation when I joined the Virginia Senate was to patron the bill for banning smoking in restaurants. And I learned very quickly that there was a lot of influence from the tobacco industry. And I learned very quickly that there were interests coming from different parts of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that particular piece of legislation passed in the Senate in 2008. It was defeated, as we say, it caught a bit of a fever in the House, and they defeated it. And I reached out between 2008 and 2009 session with people from both sides of the aisle and talked to them about the ill effects of secondhand smoke. And they said, you know what, Ralph, you're right. And so at the end of the day, in 2009, it was passed in the Senate and the House, and then Governor Kaine signed it into law. So that's the Virginia way. We we agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, we do what's in the best interest of Virginia. We live in the greatest state in this country, and we have so much potential, and it's time to put some of the ideologies, put some of the divisiveness aside, and bring people to the table, and again, move Virginia in a positive direction and do what's in the best interest of the people of Virginia. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. Appreciate it.